Welcome to the DRS Zone. It is Saturday, February 14th, 2026. And look, while the rest of the world is, buying chocolates and celebrating Valentine's Day, Formula One has gone to absolute war in the desert.
Oh, absolutely. We are in Sakir, Bahrain. And let me tell you, everything you thought you knew last week, it was a lie.
A total lie.
Yeah.
The cars we saw in Barcelona were decoys.
I'm screwed.
What rolled out of the garages this week, what hit this track, this is the real deal. The gloves are off, the covers are off, and the engineering violence is just off the charts.
It's rare you see a shift this dramatic in just a week. Usually you get an evolution, right? A trimmed wing, a new floor edge. This week we saw revolutions. We were talking about bestial aerodynamic changes and telemetry that, frankly, shouldn't be possible.
Exactly. The testing phase is over. This is it. So we're not here to talk about lap times today. We're here to talk about the monsters these teams have built. We've got to cover Audi, McLaren, Aston Martin. Let's just dive right in. Audi, the biggest shock of the week.
Yeah, Audi is where we have to start. Because if you saw their car in Barcelona and thought, okay, I know what they're doing, you were just wrong. They brought a completely different machine to Bahrain.
It's unrecognizable. I'm looking at the pictures. If you strip the livery off, I wouldn't even know it was the same team.
The whole chassis volume has shifted. I mean, the hard points, suspension, wing structure, those are similar. But the bodywork, it's a total metamorphosis. They've introduced a SIDEPOD philosophy that is just completely new.
Okay, so paint a picture for us. Because new doesn't do it justice. These things are aggressive.
They're vertical. That's the first thing that hits you. The front of the side pods are tall, they're vertical, but then they do something fascinating. They narrow drastically, then widen out, and then choke down again at the rear. It's this extreme, exaggerated Coca-Cola bottle shape.
It's like an hourglass on steroids.
Yeah.
And you use the word bestial. I love that. But here's the question for me. Audi is a new team. We talk about the budget cap all the time. How in the world do they have the cash to build one car for Barcelona and a totally different one for Bahrain a week later?
That is the flex.
Right.
That is Audi showing their muscle. To design and ship two distinct aero packages like this, it shows they are not just here to participate. They have the budget. More importantly, they have the aggression.
It's a power move. Look at us. But it's not just the side pods, is it? There's something a little weird going on with that front wing.
There is. If you look closely on the front wing flaps, there are two visible actuators. Now, usually you try to hide those mechanisms inside the structure, keep the airflow clean.
It looks a bit clunky, like they forgot to put the cover on or something.
Visually, yeah. It looks less efficient than what we see on, say, a Red Bull, but it's unique. And in F1, when you see something ugly that no one else is doing, you have to ask, is it a mistake? Or is it genius?
Well, ugly fast is still fast. I love it. But if Audi is the raw beast, let's pivot to the car that looks like a polished weapon. McLaren.
McLaren. Yeah, a very different story here. While everyone else looks like they're still testing, McLaren looks ready to go racing in Melbourne. Right now, the car just looks finished.
That is a terrifying thought for the rest of the grid.
Yeah.
What makes it look so complete?
It's the packaging. It's incredibly tight. We finally got a look under the engine cover, and the architecture mirrors what Red Bull is doing. They've put an air-to-air radiator directly on top of the engine.
So they're moving the cooling upstairs? Isn't that risky for the center of gravity? You want weight low.
You do, but aerodynamics is king. By moving that bulk up and in the center, they've hollowed out the side pods. The car is incredibly narrow at the hips. You can't even see the plenum chamber. The bodywork is shrink-wrapped so tightly around it.
It sounds like they're choking the engine just to get better aero.
In a way, yeah. It's a trade-off. They're raising the weight a tiny bit to clear a massive channel for air to rush down the floor. The aero payoff must be huge. And then there's the front wing. It's spectacular.
Break that down for me. What's so spectacular about a front wing?
It's flow management. The design is clearly creating two zones. The center is all low pressure, sucking the car down and feeding the floor, but the sides are generating lift and outwash, pushing turbulent air around the front tires.
So it's like a snowplow for air, clearing the path.
A very, very precise snowplow. And because it's so finished, they're not validating parts this week. They're optimizing setup. They are miles ahead.
Speaking of miles ahead, or maybe just miles different, we have to talk about the green rocket, Aston Martin.
Yeah.
The Newey effect. It's real, isn't it?
Oh, it is quintessential Adrian Newey. The side pods are tiny, and they're positioned really high up on the chassis. The goal is just brutally simple. Blast as much clean air as you can directly to the rear diffuser.
And the rear of the car, I keep hearing this phrase, the mouse house. What are we talking about here?
Hey, It's a great nickname. It's this little structure at the very back of the floor. It's a complex mess of cuts and deflectors and this tiny enclosed structure, the mouse house. Its whole job is to manage the turbulence coming off the rear tires.
To keep it from poisoning the diffuser.
Exactly. Isolate that dirty air. And they were definitely checking their work because that car was covered in neon paint.
The flow V's.
From nose to tail. That's the Nui ritual. He doesn't guess. He sends the car out, gets high-res photos of the paint streaks, and compares it to his data. He is fact-checking the wind.
I love that. But here's where it got terrifying this week. The telemetry. Fernando Alonso. Turn 1.
Yeah, that moment, everyone thought the timing system was broken.
It flashed up on the screen, 200 kilometers per hour.
Right, but not just 200. 200 kilometers per hour at the apex of turn 1.
In the middle of the corner.
Yeah.
That's not possible.
You'd expect to be much slower there. To carry that kind of speed through the apex suggests an ungodly amount of downforce. We all thought it was a glitch. But then it happened again. The car is just that fast.
That is nightmare fuel for every other team. But speaking of the top, let's look at Red Bull. Are they leading the way or just refining?
It's a bit of validation, really. We talked about McLaren's overhead radiator.
Yeah.
Well, Red Bull is running the exact same architecture. It proves the Japanese engineers and the Red Bull team nailed the packaging. If both of them have landed on this design, it's probably the optimal solution.
And what about their floor? I saw pictures, and honestly, it just looks like a mess of cuts and slats.
To the untrained eye, yes. But it's surgical. That mess is creating a channel. Think of it like an air curtain that separates the dirty tire turbulence from the clean diffuser airflow. It's a wall made of air.
Incredible. Okay, we have to talk about the prancing horse. Ferrari, they've been so quiet, the silent threat. But visually, let's talk about the fried egg.
The fried egg. It's the only way to describe the bodywork when you look at it from above. The side pods have this distinct bulge, the yoke, surrounded by a flatter, wider section, the white.
Does the fried egg make you faster?
We think it's about controlling air pressure. But the real story for Ferrari is the front wing and the floor. The wing is a total overhaul from Barcelona. But the floor, they've added these tiny inlets at the very front edge.
Like mini Venturi channels.
Exactly. Old school ground effect, but miniaturized. They're accelerating the air before it even gets under the car. Ferrari is modifying everything. They're changing how the car breathes from the asphalt up.
Okay, so Ferrari is tweaking the unseen.
Yeah.
But then, and we have Williams. Oh, Williams. They have taken a gamble you can see from space. This is Sainz's new ride, and I have to ask, have they lost their minds?
It's a massive risk. We have to start with the suspension. Williams is running pull rod front suspension.
And for anyone without an engineering degree, why is that a big deal?
Almost everyone else is on push rod. Pull rod is completely different structurally. It changes your center of gravity. It changes the airflow. The only other team even thinking about it might be Cadillac. Williams is betting the house on it.
And look at the bodywork. We just said Aston has tiny side pods. The Williams side pods look like barns.
They're huge, like 2.5 times larger than Aston's. The airbox is wide. It's a closed car.
Yeah.
They're relying on huge rear exits to dump heat because they don't have that tight packaging.
It just looks less refined.
It does. The problem is the side pods don't drop down aggressively towards the rear, that waterfall effect you see on the top cars. The airflow isn't being accelerated as hard.
Air is lazy.
It's slower. It's a huge gamble. They might have a mechanical advantage from the suspension, but aerodynamically, they look like they're dragging a parachute.
Worrying for them. Let's finish the tech tour with a battle of the back of the car. The rear wing war. Alpine versus Audi.
This is so fascinating. Everyone knows DRS, right? The flap lifts up.
Standard stuff.
Not for them. They are trying what we're calling reverse DRS.
Reverse DRS.
Instead of lifting the top flap, they are sinking the top planes down. When it activates, the whole thing collapses to create a flat surface.
So it turns the wing into a flat table.
Essentially, yeah. It just brutally slashes drag. And honestly, Alpine's execution looks a little bit cleaner than Audi's. It's a really clever trick.
I love that. Why open a hole when we can just flatten the wall? Okay, so we've seen vertical pods, fried eggs, and collapsing wings.
And we're only in week 1.
Before we wrap, I have to do the official bit. This segment is part of our news coverage of recent F1 events.
Right, so let's pull back for a second. What does it all mean?
Synthesizes madness for me.
We are seeing a split. On one hand, you have convergence. The engine and cooling systems on the Red Bull and McLaren are very similar. The engineers have agreed on that.
But the skin of the car.
Absolute chaos. Total chaos. There is no agreement on aero. You have Audi's vertical pods versus Aston's tiny pods versus Williams's massive pods. It tells me the regulations are still fertile ground. No one has found the perfect shape.
Which means the development race this year is going to be savage.
And that brings me to the big question for today. We see all this tech, we see the flow Vs, the telemetry, but then you look at Williams, they are betting the house on a suspension setup that all the big dogs completely ignored.
It's the classic underdog gamble.
Exactly. So the question is, are they geniuses who found the one thing Red Bull missed? Or are they already lost walking down a dead-end path before the season has even started?
Chilling thought.
Yeah.
And that is where we're going to leave it. The cars are fast, the designs are wild, and the war has just begun.
It's going to be a long, loud season.
And we are here for every single lap. If you want to see the fried egg or the mouse house for yourself, check out our breakdowns on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Follow DRS Zone right now. We don't stop until the lights go out.
Absolutely.
Stay fast.